he is heavily financed by big oil. So we think that once Iowans realize that fact, they might find other things about him attractive, but I think it would be very damaging to our state, and that's the reason why he hasn't been invited to this, because he hasn't supported renewable fuels, and I believe that would be a big mistake for Iowa to support him.
Terry Branstad, the governor of Iowa, and Bill Kristol joins us, editor of the Weekly Standard and ABC News contributor. Hello, Bill. So there's the governor of Iowa saying today that he wants Ted Cruz to be defeated. He said that without endorsing Trump. He says he's not endorsing anybody yet. So how big is this?
Yeah, it's been a question whether Ted Cruz, who's taken a pretty principled and courageous position, he's equivocated a little, but basically has refused to totally cave in and pander to the ethanol industry, which is huge in Iowa. They use corn, for renewable, what they call renewable fuels. I think most independent studies, certainly most free market-oriented groups, think this is a horrible program, classic kind of crony capitalism, big government intruding foolishly in the market. But the Iowa, of course, the political leadership is absolutely committed to it. So as I say, Cruz, I think, has impressively not kowtowed as much as the other candidates. It'll be interesting to see whether conservative and Republican voters in Iowa are impressed with Cruz for not pandering, or whether they do think it's important for Iowa that these ethanol subsidies be continued.
How big are endorsements? We've been talking this whole segment about endorsements. When Trump or anybody gets a major endorsement, how important is that?
I mean, I think history suggests not that important, but there are moments when it matters. Ted Kennedy endorsed Barack Obama in 2008 when it was a very close race between Hillary Clinton and Obama, when it wasn't clear that it was sort of respectable almost to go and be for this junior senator from Illinois against Hillary Clinton. And it really opened, I think, I won't say the floodgates, but it opened the gates to others to endorse Obama. And I think a lot of voters looked up and thought, gee, I guess it's okay to be for this somewhat young, somewhat unknown guy. So I think endorsements particularly help the kind of the younger candidates, the less well-known candidates. It's a kind of validation, someone you trust. It's just like endorsements in anything else. If someone you trust and look up to says, hey, this is a good movie, and you haven't heard much about it one way or the other, you'll like it. If someone says to you, hey, this is a good TV show, but it's been on for 10 years already, and you've watched it a bunch of times, and either you like it or you don't like it, you're not going to change your mind because someone, quote, endorses it, right? So I think a lot depends on the sort of who's endorsing whom, and is it an unknown candidate or a very well-known candidate? Someone who's very, very well-known, an endorsement usually doesn't make that much difference.
Right, and Trump is pretty well-known at this point.
Yeah, you make up your, you've seen him a million times, so you're going to believe what someone else says. I mean, sometimes if he or she can say something about a part of the person's career you didn't know about, is there new information is one way to think. Right. Is the endorsement bringing something new to the table, or is it sort of just kind of confirming for those who like him and not changing the mind of those who don't like him?
All right, so let me ask you, you wrote a piece that Trump won the debate, but my question to you is, Trump's come under criticism from Rush, from Mark Levin, from others, about the way he's attacking Cruz. Is it going to backfire on him?
I think it could. I mean, I wrote that, Friday morning, I guess, after the debate.
Right.
I thought Trump had I mean, I'm not pro-Trump, but I thought he had just objectively probably done a pretty good job in the debate and avoided any big blows to him. But I now think, and he won the initial round on New York values. That was an effective retort on 9/11. Cruz looked a little surprised, and I think most people thought, probably correctly, that Trump had sort of won that first round. But it's a good reminder that in politics, there are first rounds, then there's a second round, the third round, and so forth. And I have a sense that as that discussion has gone on, Cruz has done a pretty good job of prosecuting the New York values argument, saying, look, I'm not attacking a city, I'm not attacking the people in a city, I'm attacking a certain political mindset, and people know what I mean, and here's an example. And then he talks about judges and about partial birth abortion and other issues, and people get familiar with the photo of the Clintons attending the Trump's wedding, and I think it's been a little bit more effective for Cruz than I expected, actually. And then Trump also has gone on the offensive in a pretty wild way against Cruz. That hadn't happened when I wrote that piece.
Right.
And that, I think, is, I don't know. I can see what Trump's trying to do. He is trying to defeat Cruz in Iowa, and he figures if he wins Iowa and then presumably wins New Hampshire, boy, it's pretty hard to deny someone the nomination historically who wins those first two states. It would be a big blow to Cruz. So I understand what Trump's doing, but it has also had the effect that a lot of conservatives have said, hey, wait a second, these are not fair attacks on Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz has been a conservative champion, and So maybe Cruz, I think Cruz has a little better chance to win this fight with Trump than most people think. Most people think Trump's going to kind of steamroll him. I think Cruz is pretty tough and pretty able at this kind of infighting. But it's a heck of a fight. I got to say, as just an observer, Trump Cruz going at it, that's a pretty good heavyweight fight. You know?
Absolutely. Bill, always great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Bill Kristol. All right, folks, we're taking your viewer calls. You know we do that now every day on the Steve Malzberg Show. Next segment. So if you want to be on the show, give us a call right now, 877-Newsmax. That's 877-639-7629. 877-639-7629. We want to talk to you.